and welcome to this episode of the Self-Improvement Project. I hope you are all well. I hope you've had a wonderful week. And today's episode is called Goals for Motivation, Systems for Mastery. Now, I want to start this episode with a personal story. And it revolves around this common theme of the topic today, around goals, around systems, around our motivations at that time, around what we really want to master. And this whole project, if you've listened to some of the episodes before, I talk about how this has been something I've worked on for years. Yes, the podcast officially started in 2020, but since around kind of 2016, 2017, I've been relentlessly researching, developing myself in personal development or self-improvement topics. And obviously that's led to this podcast coming out every week, which I enjoy. And without spoiling the kind of punchline of the story, I want to touch on if you're doing something like this where you've got this kind of passion or purpose sort of thing that you feel that you're working on, and it can feel like a revolving door of insanity. Endless feelings of I'm working so hard to become better at something, but I'm not feeling like I'm getting what I should out of it. That overarching thought of I should be more successful, or I should be better at this. I should have more to show for whatever it is that I'm working towards. Now, for me, that's this podcast, personal development, getting out in the world to help people and develop others. For you, it might be exercise or a hobby that you're trying to get really good at, a musical instrument, a particular sport, actual skill. And what I found from thinking about this topic today is that society and the way that we are brought up and surrounded with information is that goals are what we are built on. And systems are the temporary measures that we put in place for that particular goal. Think about a goal that you've had and then the things that you've put in place to achieve that goal, right? Why don't we reverse it? Why don't we have systems in place forever that help us achieve our goals? By basing everything on our goals, almost our foundations or our platform, we can actually end up doing more damage if it's not sustained. Let's look at the glaringly obvious example of weight loss. Diet. When does a diet ever work forever? Let's look at exercise and fitness. When does exercise last forever? It's not by reaching a certain weight that we diet. It's not by running a marathon that we exercise. It has to simply be the systems in place. Now, this whole concept and idea, I first came across it through James Clear in Atomic Habits. And this is what has helped me to create this podcast every week. When I was first researching and doing personal development stuff at the start that I was talking about, I had goals that I was aiming towards. Goals that I wanted to achieve. Systems happened as a result of those goals. And since May 2020, when I started this podcast, I've reversed that completely. I have put a system in place that I like to think, from a serendipitous point of view, I will achieve my goals. Now, these goals are good for our motivation, don't get me wrong. Life becomes very mundane, repetitive, unremarkable if we just base things on systems. We have to have goals for that achievement desire that we all have. But a system should give us that glorious feeling of not having to think about it. One of the toughest things to do is to take action on something that we want. Think of when you exercise, those little bits before we exercise, we don't actually want to. But if we don't have to think about that, it's just a system we have in place that we automatically do it, then we carry it out. It's part of our subconscious even. A goal is what lifts you, lifts your spirits. It's what gives you that visible, conscious, and tangible success that nobody can take away from you. To delve a little bit deeper into this, I know that I bang on about internal being more important than external. Internal being how we feel, how we process our emotions, looking for inner peace, peace of mind, things like that. External being ego, status, achievements, etc. But external success can lead to a more wholesome internal state. By achieving something externally, it allows us to grow internally. The beautiful thing is that we only realize this after we've achieved it, after it's done. A system is your identity. It is non-negotiable. It is who you are. Let's look back at the diet or the exercise example. Vegetarians don't think about eating meat. It's who they are. Marathon runners don't think about going for a long run. They do it because it's who they are. What are the systems that you have in place for who you are right now? And to finish, I want you to ask yourself some big questions. What's going to be your system for who you want to be? And what is your goal to get you there? There's no right or wrong with systems and goals. The two complement each other. We need to understand how each of them benefit us to our own style and our own taste. The yin and the yang. So let's not neglect one, but let's not rely too much on something that is so perishable. And that's us today. Thank you very much for listening. I've recently set up an email sign up where I am providing thoughts every Sunday for you to process and ponder. So hopefully that adds value. I'll add it into the show notes below. But I hope you all have a wonderful week. Until next time. Cheers.